Welcome to the Content Podcast, conversations with Silicon Valley's creatives. I'm Daniel Garcia, your host and the cultivator of Content Magazine, published by SV Creates.
Hey Daniel, it's Dave.
Hey, how's it going, Daniel? This is Michael.
Today we talk with Michael Boado, who's also known as DJ Basura, and is one of the founders of Needle to the Groove record store, and with David Ma, who's a local writer and part of the Needle to the Groove record label. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Appreciate what you guys are doing with Needle to the Groove, and also both you guys contributing to the magazine and our events, playing music and everything. So it's great to be able to talk to you guys. So I just want to get, if we can, for just our listeners, just get a little background of each of you, how you kind of got into the music scene, and then how you came together. So, Dave, why don't you go first and just kind of say a little bit of your history of how you got involved in music and writing, and then how that led you to Needle to the Groove.
Sure. I've always just been a fan of music, just like, my partners here, always been really nerdy about it, and always been just taken, engulfed by it, really enamored by it. And about 20 years ago, I got into music journalism, which I've been doing since then. I've written for Rolling Stone, Pitchfork, Vibe Magazine, Wax Poetics, The Guardian, Billboard, and a few other publications, local publications. I've written for the Metro. We contribute to content. I've done stuff for the San Jose Mercury News as well. And, we've just, Mike and I and Alan have been friends, I think, going on a decade plus now. And, we've all had different endeavors. Mike's a DJ. Mike's a DJ. Alan's a record collector. And it just sort of made sense after a while, after just hanging out and stuff, to kind of come together and put out vinyl releases to, sort of cement ourselves in this culture that we've been really into for many years individually.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how everything took off. And, this is our 3.5 or 4th year. And so we got a lot of exciting stuff on deck. So thank you for taking the time here with us.
Yeah. So saying 3.5 years of having Needle to the Groove label kind of being launched, right? And
yes,
yeah.
And it's actually like a branch of the record shop, which you've been to, and which Mike and Alan are on site every day. So it's sort of a continuation and extension of that.
Yeah, cool. So let's get into that in a minute. So then, for Mike, for you then, when you how did you get connected with Needle to the Groove, and then how did that lead you to meet Dave?
I met Alan when he first moved here from the Midwest. I met Alan. We used to work at another record shop, and we worked there for, I'd say, 3 or so years together, and then we both left.
Yeah.
And out of the blue, I was working at another spot, and he came to this shop that I was working at, and we kind of got caught up with what he was trying to do, and he just pitched the idea. He was like, "Yeah, man, I'm trying to maybe open up my own record shop." And I was like, jokingly, I said, "Dude, let me help you out. Let's go. Let's do this thing." And one thing led to another, and then a couple weeks later, we kind of got that going.
Yeah.
So I've known David for definitely over 10 years.
Okay.
I think I met him in 2000, if memory serves correct, 2005 or 2000. I don't know. It's been about 15 years. 15 years.
About right.
Was that? Did you guys kind of meet each other through more like the DJ scene or something like that, or
mutual friends? We're DJs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Mike's a real DJ. I'm sort of a record collector, a reluctant guy who plays records. But yeah, we kind of met just through downtown live events and channels and stuff, and we had a bunch of really good mutual friends as well.
Yeah. So then I think Needle to the Groove launched in about 2010. Is that about right?
Michael, I think
The original shop? Yeah, see, when did Dan start that? If Alan was here, you could tell me. I couldn't tell you the exact
Because that was in Fremont, right? Was that
the
first one?
Pardon?
Was the first one in Fremont?
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
The first one was in Fremont, and it's been around for well over 10 years.
Yeah.
But Alan had met up with Dan, and Alan would shop with Dan. And Alan really liked how Dan was as a person and as a a shop owner. And when he had this idea of opening up a shop, that was one of the avenues that he wanted to take. Maybe, possibly, if he didn't come up with his own name for our own name at the shop, we would just align ourselves with Needle to the Groove in Fremont, because Dan just did it right. He was a cool guy, really personable. He knew his records.
Yeah.
So we aligned ourselves with his model and his name.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. And then so the two of you guys just kind of met through the scene. So then when did kind of like the idea of taking Needle to the Groove and moving it towards a label, when did that come about, and what kind of crazy conversation did you guys have to begin an endeavor like that?
I think a lot of them sort of began at the bar. So we just had, we would just have drinks and kind of geek out over music and stuff. And we're always sort of, without sounding pretentious, trying to be progressive with our endeavors. So we're just like, what can we do rather than just sit around tipsy talking about music? Like, let's make something tangible out of it. And and I think Alan approached us with the idea of, hey, we get approached with music, people give us demos and stuff, why don't we look into it and put it out ourselves? And Alan actually had a history with Rhymesayers, which is an independent hip hop label out of Minneapolis. He was signed and did some records out of there, I think in the early 2000s. So he had a lot of experience already, as well as he had a super indie label called Birthright Records back in the day as well. So, we sort of just took his lead and jumped into it. And, with Mike's sort of musical know-how and his acumen and his name, and with my experience on the marketing and press and journalistic end, we thought it would just be a good combination.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you think? Like that's kind of a good question. Like the three, what is the different skill sets that you guys, that the three of you kind of bring to form the label? So,
well, sure. I mean, on my end, I do whatever I can in terms of the network that I've built through journalism. So if we need to reach out to magazines, we need to reach out to artists and managers and publicity agents and stuff. I take care of that. But in general, I mean, we just meet up and sit down in the back and listen to music and say, this is good, this is not good, what should we do with this, what we shouldn't do with this, and just kind of it's just kind of a group effort. But Michael and AJ have a lot of know-how in that stuff, so they definitely help me with that.
Yeah, AJ especially, with him running his own label in his early 20s and having that experience with Rhymesayers, and also us having prior histories with working at other record stores.
Yeah.
All that combined, man, just makes a big Voltron robot for us.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it seems to me, I mean, not only is like, curating the music, but I would think, like it's the distribution, right? I mean, I imagine the costs of producing an album are not cheap, right? And to get it printed and pressed and all that kind of stuff. Right. And then, so the distribution of that, what's some of the surprises and things that you've learned about kind of putting together the label?
Well, on my end, I mean, certainly you go into it thinking and knowing that it's going to be a group effort, but it's just like any small business owner where decisions come down to the final to the final mark, and you're the guys who have to make that decision. And so with all these projects that we put out, it's a big orchestration, because it's like we need artwork, we need a press person, we need just all kinds of communication with the manufacturing and just all kinds of stuff. And so it's again, I mean, we work in tandem to try to make everything work. And that was sort of a big surprise, because at first you just want to put out music you like, but then it's like, oh, okay, you really got to do the work. And you really got to do the work and like do your homework and make sure the final product is exact, because you're also representing the artist. So if we mess up on our end, like we don't want to look like clowns too.
Yeah. Michael, do you have anything to say on kind of like the business running side of it?
Well, with the recent run of events with COVID, that kind of made a lot of stuff difficult in terms of getting product out. Like one of our latest releases from Casual Crypt, we hit a bump in the road with not just COVID, but record factories closing, vinyl factories closing permanently.
Yeah.
We used to deal with a place called Rainbow Records, and less than a year ago they couldn't carry on. I don't really know what the backstory is. I think they couldn't renew their lease, or they couldn't afford their building anymore. But we had to look for another plant to go to.
Yeah.
Produce our records, and so we had to do more research. Like we were relying on Rainbow for a lot of our past releases, but since they went under, we had to do more research and see what else was out there.
Yeah.
And that was some work, but we got through it.
Yeah. So then kind of enlighten me, because I don't know exactly how it all works. So if you're representing an artist, now are you helping them in the recording process as well, or is it kind of they're submitting to you and then you're helping them more on kind of the publicity and the release, or depends on the artist? How does that all kind of work?
Every release is different. For every, for Marinero, for example, he already had his tracks made.
Yeah.
So we had to go and he had his tracks made. And then for another release that we've got coming out, Valley Wolf, we had studio time. We used studio time for Valley Wolf for them to create the songs.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends. It depends on the artist. If they have the tracks made already, or if they want to make fresh new tracks, it all depends.
Yeah, it's really much on a case-by-case basis. So if somebody comes to us with a demo, and that's like step one, and it's really strong, and we feel them as people and stuff, then we'll be there for every single step of the way.
Yeah.
But sometimes people just present you the product, and it's like, it's already done. Can you guys slap a bow on this and give me some support and put it out? And we have also done that as well. So it's really case by case, and we've been fortunate enough to work with people who've been delivering really strong product and who are open to working with us throughout the whole process. So so far it's been working well.
So then, so let's say it's an artist that basically you heard a demo, it's pretty rough, you think they got a lot of talent, you want to do something with it, and then you do help them go to the studio. I mean, that's going to cost time. Do you guys do something where it's like, all right, we'll upfront you for the studio time, or they pay the studio time, and then you're going to get a cut of the global distribution and sales, or?
Yes,
all that was worked out with Al, and he's a studio guy, so he works out the deals with the studio time and what the bands or the artists want to contribute, or what we want to contribute. We kind of come to terms within each other.
So
right. We also have another partner. His name's Jeff Brummett. Goes by JB. He's part of a band called Dr. Nurse.
Yeah. And
he also will sit in on the studio as well, because he's a musician and we trust his ear. And so I mean there is a process with that as well.
Yeah. Cool. So what would you say then? I mean, you guys have put out probably what, like 15.
It's something like that. Yeah.
EPs now, like in the last couple of years.
Well,
and they're pretty.
A few things.
Yeah, it's a pretty. I mean, it's fun because it's kind of an eclectic style. What would you say Needle to the Groove is? What would you say? What could I expect? What's the flavor? What's the music genre that you're kind of putting out there?
Well, it's kind of hard because it's easier just to say, hey, we're a rock label or we're a rap label, and then people sort of know what they're getting themselves into. With us, we've always strove to be eclectic, and I don't know if you're familiar with Stone's Throw, the label.
Yeah.
It's ran by Peanut Butter Wolf, who's also a hometown hero, and their entire approach has been, we just put out everything from weird garage shit to rap stuff, and that's been our approach. And sort of being a brand new label doing that, people are like, I like this one approach, but I hate this other record. And people don't know where to grasp. But, I think as time has gone on and time has proven, it becomes like a seal of quality. So people might not be into this rap record or never have heard of it, but because they bought 3 other releases on the label, they'll check it out on strength. And it's working out well for us. And, we have a lot of cassette releases. We have CD releases, 45s and LPs.
Yeah.
And they've all been going pretty well. And I think just being eclectic and colorful is the approach. Mike?
Well said, bud. You nailed it. All in all, we are an eclectic label. You can't pigeonhole us.
Yeah.
With one style of music to another. We put out what we like.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's I think for me, who I find that I have a real eclectic style too, and so I'm kind of like a lot of I can't listen to one radio station. I can't I have to curate my own list, and that's what I appreciate about you guys. Is that you're bringing kind of like, you're doing the research for me in many ways, right? And bringing me kind of cool stuff. So, I mean, you can go from Valley Wolf to Maraño, but like, to like, I don't know, DJ Platurn or something like that. Like, it's like a whole different kind of mix, B. Lewis, you know what I mean? Like, and you get these different kind of vibes. And for me, I love it because I don't want to listen to just rock. I don't want to just listen to just rap. I don't want to just listen to just, I don't know, like lounge music. But I want to be surprised, so I appreciate that. But is that that would be the goal then. That when people think of what you're producing with Needle to the Groove, is that it's eclectic, but it's quality. Is that kind of just the general type of thing?
Yeah, I would say so. That the consumer sort of knows what they're getting. For instance, our current project that we're working on is it's a soundtrack to the Malcolm X documentary on Netflix. It's called By Every Means Necessary, and it's produced by a longtime legendary hip hop producer by the name of Prince Paul. It's him along with a guy named Don Newkirk, and so that's currently out right now. But we followed that release right up with Practice Birdheads, which is like a limited edition cassette that's hand numbered, and it's just like ambient tunes. So we are all over the place, but our hope is fans of the label who are familiar with the quality will pick up both. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think that's great. I mean, I think so much what happens in our culture is that you start running in one kind of like silo, and then with that, even if it's a genre of music or whatever, also contains a lot of other cultural influences and ideas and philosophies. And if you don't open yourself up to kind of like different flavors, I think you kind of miss kind of like the richness not only of music and that art, but also even kind of cultural influences.
Sure, yeah, 100%.
So then for you guys, what do you see even, the role of music in society, especially with everything that's going on today? What's your kind of view on how even Needle to the Groove, especially with, putting out the soundtrack to Any Means Necessary?
Right.
Every means necessary.
I don't know. I think in general, music is very healing and it's reflective of the times. So, I mean, if anything that we can do to sort of lubricate that process, we're here for it.
Well, yeah.
I think Michael's just a big fan of Dave. Is what's going on.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm Mike's number one fan. He knows that.
Yeah, right. That's cool. I mean, that's one of the things that I've been trying to kind of bring up more in our podcast. Is just that intersection between art and culture.
Totally.
For you guys, what do you think? What's been some of the main kind of like, especially in the music realm, music influences that kind of have formulated your view of society and culture? So let's go with Michael first, so he can't take Dave's answer.
Okay, you actually, can you repeat the question? You kind of...
Yeah, I was kind of all over the map. Basically, for you, what's some of the musical influences that have kind of shaped your kind of like worldview and the way that you approach the world and given you your view of culture?
Oh man, I can definitely answer that first part. The second part about how it viewing the world and culture, I don't know if I can answer that for you, but I can give you some influences right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe I can answer that second part after I hear what David has to say.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, we'll start off with my musical influences. Man, I have so many. I'm really drawn to electronic music.
Yeah.
We'll start off with that. I'm really drawn to electronic music. For me, production is more important than lyrics, and I know that's, for a lot of people that's weird, because I know Dave and Alan and Jeff are really into lyrics, but the music, I'm all about the mood and the vibe, like the instrumentation.
Yeah.
I'm really just into synth, Aphex Twin, ambient music, like what we're putting out. This Curie thing is friggin' amazing.
Yeah.
And there's no lyrics. It's very moody.
Mm-hmm.
Puts you in a place. But from that, I think let's take it to David so I can think about that second part.
Okay, so let's just say it. So then your kind of flavor is much more the instrumentation and the production, not so much on the storytelling aspects, right?
Yeah, for me, I'm all about the beat.
Yeah,
I love instrumentals in general. Like, a lot of the Khruangbin stuff that's out. I've been really digging that.
Yeah, so good.
Like lyrics are secondary to me, unfortunately.
no, that's fine. I mean, yeah. Everybody's got their different thing. Well, now Dave's a writer, so maybe he's into the storytelling.
Right.
Well, I'm very much into production as well. But to answer your question, for me, I guess it would be hip hop. But in general, hip hop leads to self-discovery, because it's like, oh, I like this one song. I like that one bass line in this one song. So then you go on and find out who was sampled, and it leads you to a plethora of soul artists or this one composer who did this one little thing on this one song that you like. So it sort of leads to just more musical discovery, and I think that's really informed my own music and my own interest in it. But to Mike's point regarding lyrics, I mean, I treat both equally, but I think Leonard Cohen's like the best writer ever. You know what I mean? So it's for me, it's a little bit of both, but I would say hip hop has really informed my worldview.
Yeah. Of the different projects that you have released, for each of you, what's kind of like more of your personal, like, I really am proud of this one. I know, of course, you're proud of all of them, but for Michael, what's kind of one for you? David, what's kind of one for you?
I know what David did, but
maybe we should do that where you answer for each other.
I think we can do that too. But
well, personally, for me, at this very moment in time, with what we've put out, I would have to say Casual Crypt is my favorite release. Although I love all of our releases, but I really connect with Casual Crypt's record. Yeah. I just love his production. It's just so layered.
Mm-hmm.
And him as a person, I've known this guy for a long time, this guy Jim, and we have a lot of the same musical tastes.
Yeah.
In the electronic realm, but he goes far. He loves rock. He loves indie. He loves garage. He loves psych. But Casual Crypt, I think, at this moment in time,
okay, cool,
is my favorite release.
I'll definitely check it out. And then Dave, what about you?
For me, I think it kind of changes with each release. It's like, oh, what's the new one we're working on that we're really excited about? And that ends up kind of sort of being my favorite. But given our past catalog, I like our Breaking the Ice release, which was a DJ Plattern release. It was a mix that was made from all obscure Icelandic vinyl, and wow. It comes with some liner notes that I wrote, which sort of tells the story of how it came to be. And I've always been fixated on like historical type projects and stuff, so I really like stuff like that. But shout out to the Amphitheater release as well, which is DJ Plattern and Edgewise, a local MC as well. That was a tape release, and it's just really simplistic beats and raps, and I've always been really fond of stuff like that. So that's another favorite as well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Plattern's mix is a close second for me. It's beautifully blended.
Mm-hmm.
And every track is just a new discovery. I've never heard of any of this music.
Yeah, cool.
It's friggin' amazing.
Yeah, that's great. That's good. So now let's talk about the South Bay music scene. I know you guys have both been around a lot, the clubs. I know, Michael, you were played at the Ritz, or even before that, the Blank Club, right? So, so what's your guys' kind of view of the music scene in San Jose? What do you see as some of its strengths and some of its weaknesses? So, Michael, why don't you go first?
Strengths. I think there are a lot of little groups of people that are doing their own thing. Meaning, I know, especially with the younger generation, with the younger kids, I'm seeing a lot more photos of a lot of private shows and house shows in downtown, and smaller venues, like venues I've never even heard of. Mainly houses and what's this place, David, on 7th Street or 6th Street? What is that place?
Is that Martha or something like that?
Martha Street, yeah. Yeah.
No, not Martha Street, but it's right across the street from San Jose State. Oh, the LGBT,
the Peace and
Peace and Justice.
Yeah.
They're making some waves. There's just a lot, they just have a lot of these shows and all these bands I've never heard of, and they're these young kids, and they're just making waves in their own scenes, all sorts of different sounds of music. It's not just one thing.
Yeah.
They're doing metal and noise and folk and indie, and I think there's a lot, especially with the younger generation, there's a lot of stuff that's waiting to just be discovered. Like, a lot of people are trying to do something, because with our generation of folks, in my view, there's just not a whole lot going on in terms of live music. There's not a whole lot of places to play.
Right.
There's the Caravan, there's the Ritz, there's the Beck Bar, there's what's the place near the Shark Tank, the Poorhouse Bistro.
Yeah. Art Boutique.
I'm not seeing a whole lot from the older generation, but I'm seeing a whole lot of things. A lot of stuff is stirring up with the younger crowd, with the teens and the people in their early 20s, and I'm still trying to discover it all.
Yeah.
And it's exciting for me.
Yeah.
I'm liking that I don't know a lot of this stuff, and I'm still trying to discover it.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, that was kind of a strength and a weakness, right? Yeah, right. Because there's the strength is that there's kind of this indie scene of these people finding the places, making it happen. But the weakness is there's not that many venues,
right,
and stuff.
Absolutely, just not enough.
Yeah. Dave, what about you? What do you see kind of the strength and the weaknesses?
Well, I was just gonna kind of echo Mike's point that next thing you know. We're the old guys in the scene, you know what I mean? Next thing you know, there's just a new crop of young kids. And to Mike's point, I think the biggest setback to South Bay's music scene is the lack of venues. I mean, you go to San Francisco and Oakland, and like a super small or medium show is sold out on a Tuesday night.
Yeah.
San Jose, it's always an uphill climb to get people out and to get a sense of unity. And not to say that doesn't happen, but it just doesn't happen with the ease that it does elsewhere. So I would like to see that improve. And, obviously COVID is not helping the situation,
Yeah.
But to Mike's point also, I mean, we love seeing the young kids do their thing, and I love not knowing what's going on, because that's just more opportunity to explore,
Yeah, cool. Awesome. So what's some future projects for you guys and the label, and what's coming up that we could be looking for?
Well, it's pretty exciting because we work on stuff, and we work so hard on it, and the world doesn't even get to see it for another 3 or 4 months. So at the moment, we're working on a few things. I can speak on one in particular, which is Alan goes by Albert Jenkins as well, which is sort of his production moniker, and he's working on a project with a rapper named Casual, who is part of Hieroglyphics.
Awesome.
From Oakland. And they're legendary. They're the type of dudes that we listened to while we were growing up. So to be in the same room and to be at the same table making a project with them is pretty astounding. So we're really excited about that. We also have the Valley Wolf project that we talked about a little bit earlier. I think Mike can expound on some of the stuff.
Yeah, the Valley Wolf project will be a 7-inch, 45, co-produced by some of the guys from a band called Chicano Batman.
Yeah.
So that's next in line. We're also going to be putting out another vinyl LP release from Diamond Ortiz with some tracks that he's never put out on vinyl.
Cool.
So we got that. We also have, shoot, you know what? I might even be putting something out.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
This is still in the works. You know, we're still thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I used to dabble in music. I don't dabble in music as much as I used to, but when I was a teen, in my early 20s, I recorded a bunch of music on tape, and maybe you know, we might see a Basura compilation.
Yeah.
We also have this project called Beat Theory, which is 3 guys, one including Ray Resurrection.
Awesome.
And it's an instrumental, like, future G-funk, hip-hop, electronic hybrid.
Yeah.
And that's going to be coming out soon. All these are going to be super limited, by the way, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's about 4 or 5 things were in the works that are in the works for the label.
Yeah, those all sound great. That's cool. Now, so then, what is it like? Yeah, when you go to pressing vinyl, what's your normal kind of like run that you do with something like this?
Well, we're trying to keep them small, boutique sort of runs. So, you know, 300, 500 are typically the amounts that we're doing. I think for the aforementioned Breaking the Ice DJ Platinum, we did 1,000.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And then I did see that you guys do like some kind of like limited edition signed albums and stuff like that sometimes too, right?
Right. We try to deliver not just, you know, the audio files. You know, we try to deliver an entire tactile project. So the cover art needs to be dope. You know what I mean? Liner notes if we have them, stickers, shirts. Yeah. You know, just sort of an entire package for the consumer.
Yeah, that's cool. Now then, how has COVID been for you guys? With, I mean, of course, the record store is dependent upon people coming in, and so how's that all been for you guys?
Yeah, in terms of the shop, man, that sucked. You know, we were closed for a couple of months.
Yeah,
2.5 months or so, and that really bummed us out. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Luckily, we still continued online sales, which helped.
Yeah.
And man, that was a bummer. But now that we're back in business, it's actually been, you know, with the COVID hitting and everyone stuck at home and us being able to open again, we saw a big influx that first week of people like just wanting to go record shopping. Like that first week of sales was killer. And actually sales are back to normal, or I'd say actually better. They've been really steady and really good.
Great.
But given the circumstances, it is weird, you know, the whole process of having people wearing masks and sanitizing and having X amount of people at a time in shop. And it's just, everything's a little different, but we have been pulling through for sure.
Yeah. And then I know that you guys had talked about doing like, you know, maybe even helping promote different concerts and, you know, performances and stuff like that. So of course that's going to be on hold, right? Until, I haven't seen it. Have you guys done like a Zoom on a digital kind of like release concert or anything like that? As Needle to the Groove?
We haven't done anything of that sort, but we are in the works of finally doing some DJ streaming.
Yeah.
So I know, we're going to start working on that. Alan's planning on doing a gospel mix, live gospel mix that we'll stream and, you know, we'll put up on YouTube. And Tucker, one of our guys, is going to do a Japanese city pop, jazzy sort of thing. And I plan on doing an experimental electronic mix that we'll stream. And then all this will end up on YouTube as well. And David, I'm sure he'll end up doing an awesome reggae or ska or soul mix. But we're going to start streaming soon. We haven't done any sort of parties or Zoom parties or anything like that. Not yet.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. Cool. All righty. Well, so then, actually, you know what, Dave, I wanted to ask you from the different interviews that you've done, because you also are, you know, a writer.
Sure.
What's one of the interviews that you've done of a musician or producer or something like that that really has stuck out in your mind that you really was like awesome for you?
Oh wow! I'm pretty fortunate to stay pretty active with that. So, and again, it's sort of, I guess it speaks to how my brain works. I'm always like mostly excited about the most recent thing.
Yeah.
So about 3 weeks ago, I interviewed Black Thought from The Roots. So that went very well. It's slated to drop on the Paris Review, which is an
Awesome.
old-timey literary magazine that I'm very proud to even be a part of.
Cool.
So that interview went well because the focus of that was his writing and his writing acumen, and he was just reading me lyrics that he's working on and telling me backstories of the Roots and Questlove and how they got into hip hop and them working at the Philadelphia School of Music. All of that is just so insightful, and every time I'm in these interviews, I'm just super fortunate and just elated that I'm even a part of it. So yeah, man. So Black Thought was really fun, but I mean, throughout my career, I've been able to sort of knock off bucket lists and talk to artists that I've always been really fond of. MF Doom, Ghostface, a few other ones. So very fortunate in that regard still, and keeping busy. I'm working on a few things right now that are going to drop probably within about 2 weeks that I'm excited about as well.
Yeah, cool. Right on. Awesome. And then, Michael, I mean, I guess, I was going to ask you, like, when's the next DJ set that you're doing? But I guess, that's what I would love to see, that you're like, oh, I'm every Friday night or every Wednesday night at Stritch or at the Ritz. But any idea of when would start happening, and you hear anything in the industry?
Oh man, I wish I had good news about when the Ritz would be opening up. I have no idea. It's not looking great for the rest of the year, I'd say.
Yeah, that's real sad.
In terms of, it sucks, man. In terms of DJing, again, I think the next thing I'll probably do is this Needle to the Groove stream, this DJ stream / recorded video for YouTube. But it'll probably happen within the next month. I have no exact date because we're still working out the kinks, but that'll probably be the next thing.
Yeah, cool. All right, you guys. Totally appreciate what you're doing. And do you guys have anything else you want to throw in there? Anything you want to plug? You want to say hi to your mom or anything like that?
Well, not really, but Daniel, since I got your ear, I just want to say thank you for all the support. We're really happy to be a part of the monthly record reviews, and content is always doing their thing. And I know that in these times, it's probably more difficult. And thank you for your constant support, and we're here to support you as well. So.
Oh yeah, I totally appreciate it, man. I love what you guys doing. I mean, like I said, that becomes my playlist of what you guys put out there, because otherwise I'm gonna get stuck listening to the same old stuff on my Spotify and fall into this track. So I really appreciate what you guys doing. It's really cool. So all right. Well, thank you guys, Michael and Dave. I really appreciate you, and
thank you.
Hopefully I'll be seeing you in person without masks.
Yes, sir.
And with beers.
Sooner than later.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir. First beer's on me, guys.
Sounds good. I'll see you later. Yeah. All right. Take it easy, guys.
Daniel.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. To find out more about Needle to the Groove, follow them on Instagram at Needle to the Groove Records, and for the record label, go to needletothegroove_ENT. This episode's music is an exclusive track called The Streets from Needle to the Groove's label's most recent release, done by Prince Paul and Don Newkirk, called By Every Means Necessary, which is the soundtrack for the Netflix film Who Killed Malcolm X. Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast. Follow us on social media at Content Mag. Subscribe by going to our website, content-magazine.com.